One of the, or let's start back a step. In November last year, we ran a weekend with the assistance of the Drysdale Clifton Springs Community Association and a couple of other groups to actually hold a weekend in which we put on display about 20 different topics or issues for people to have a say about. And one of them, and the one that really surprised me the most, was that the fountain came in at number 3 as the third highest priority for people in the area. After that, a meeting was then called with 24 hours notice at the fountain by the new councillor Lindsay Ellis, and in that 24 hours we had time to get probably almost as many people as we've got tonight down there, which was very encouraging, I suppose, that so quickly we could get so many people there. During that meeting, I'm not sure what he envisaged doing during that time, whether he was about to make some sort of, you know, big decision straight away or what he was going to do, but I begged for the community to have time to actually come to a conclusion in its own right, because in the surveys we found that there was quite a broad array of ideas that people had with regard to the fountain. And I thought that we as a community should have the opportunity to actually decide what we wanted to have done with it. I'm not sure that that's going to be an easy process, because there was such a wide range of ideas, but I believe that by coming together with goodwill that people can make good decisions. And that's what I hope we can do tonight, and I hope we can listen to each other and that we can maybe come up with an action plan for this particular topic, knowing that there are 19 more that hopefully people might take on board as well. But this is perhaps the topic that you're most interested in, and that you've either said that you would like to come to, or you've shown that you would like to come to by coming out on a 36-degree heat night. So if we can maybe start off with, I'm not really sure how to start off, but there's a couple of different ways. There are photos almost going around at the moment that actually show what the fountain did look like in its previous life. And if we could maybe pass those around so people could have a look. I've only received them this afternoon through discussion with a community member, Gerald Edgar. He happened to mention in passing today that he'd done some pen and ink sketches of the fountain, and I just happened to ask, did he have a picture of what it used to look like? He reminisced about the 2 side areas that used to be part of the fountain feature, so it wasn't just the fountain, it had some outriders, or I'm not sure what you'd call them, but little wings, I suppose, and they were sold off. I understand from Gerald today, they were sold off to actually fund the continuing maintenance of the fountain. So, and that was after the amalgamation. So, I just wanted to share that little bit, and it's as those stories come to light that I think we form a better picture of how this has evolved and where we want it to head. And I will call on Patrick later on, because we've got, there has been a meeting by some part of the community about maybe converting it into an art feature. So I will call on Patrick to actually talk to that as well. So if we think about the fountain, the way it is, or the way, maybe we'll look to the future, maybe that's the best way to start. As this is our first topic that we've talked about, I'm not really sure how to do this, so hang on, Steve, yep.
And this is interesting, it's come off the web, so people perhaps more likely to read the cartographic. over 40 years later, it's probably 50 years now, the settlement looks tired. The entrance gates have no water in the fountain and need repairing. Clifton Springs is home to over 7,000, that's probably double now, and is experiencing growth at 1.9% per annum, that's probably treble. This could be a sea change destination because houses are affordable in Clifton Springs. The houses are substantial and suburban, many with glimpses of the water, which would appeal to many retirees. Yeah, that was just, we thought that was a bit interesting.
That's very interesting. So, Steve?
Well, I was thinking, in a decision-making process like this, one of the things I usually do in a meeting is put up the different options. And the very first option is always do nothing. I think what numbers of people here, we can probably take that one straight off the table. I don't think anybody wants to just continue on the way it currently is. Therefore, we are looking for change in the current situation.
Okay.
That leads us to a couple of different options after that. And I'm by no means trying to be tables, I'm just sort of trying to map out the process. One would be to repair, redesign, or replace it with something completely different.
And cost is going to be...
Well, all of these things have to come at cost. Even repairing the existing feature, you have to start considering where you're going to get the water from to run it. You know, we can't just assume that we're going to run it on mains water, because one of the reasons it got in the state of disrepair is because fountains were banned during the drought period, and of course that led to the degradation of the existing feature.
That's why we had that little pumping station put there, so the water could just be recycled.
Yes, but you're not allowed to top up, so the water eventually evaporates away, and then you have to shut down.
Okay.
You have to have a constant source of water to maintain.
Yeah, I understand that in the drought, but we're not in that situation
At the moment.
at the moment.
But we can expect to be back
That's
there
right.
fairly quickly. So we need to, if we're going down that path, we need to find an alternative source of water. Now there are a couple of options. We could go for groundwater, it is Clifton Springs after all.
Yep.
Or we could use captured stormwater. So there's a variety of things we can do. So just because we can't use mains water, it doesn't take the fountain off the table. It just means we have to plan more carefully. But do we want a fountain? Do we want an art feature? Do we want something else completely different? I don't know what people want. I'm just saying that there are lots of options. Let's start working our way down through them and see which ones still attractive at the end of the night.
Hi, sorry, I don't know your name.
Glenda.
Glenda?
I actually heard on Line Club in Clifton Springs, and there was some talk there where it was something we felt too needed to be done. I think there were some questions asked of the council, and we were told that there was faulty piping there now. It would cost somewhere in the like $20,000 to repair it to be able to be used so water could flow again.
Okay, that's not impossible to raise 20 grand, so that's okay, yeah.
That
I just thank you. Robin?
I just think in today's climate with water, I think a fountain is, can't even consider it.
Okay. So there were suggestions to replace it, as I said, with an art feature or with some native shrubs, or as it shows in the picture, there actually was garden around the fountain area. So it's not unusual or isn't out of the question that that would have been part of the feature anyway. Yep, sorry.
I wonder if we'd be having this discussion if that fountain was down in the Esplanade in Geelong. I'll guarantee you it wouldn't be. Everything seems to be spent down there, and the forgotten ballerina. I've only lived there 10 years, but the ballerina and I used to work for a council, and even Karaya were run better than what the city of Geelong is at present.
And that's why I think it was important for us to know that the sale of that land was to fund the ongoing maintenance of the fountain. I mean, I think that's a really key piece of information for us to remember.
Well, it was given to the council, wasn't it, by Wilmore and Langham?
Is it in black and white?
Well, I don't know, and that's the problem. I only found that fact out this afternoon, so I'm not sure about that being as part of any council record. Yep, but it's good to research that.
And I just wanted to ask, who actually maintains the fountain currently?
Well,
So at the
I
moment,
know it's let go. Who actually is responsible for maintaining?
it was, and Patrick, please help me here. It was at the meeting that was held in December. There were 2 council officers there. David Fitzsimmons from the Arts Public Art Officer, and he was saying that it is actually considered to be one of the art assets of City of Greater Geelong. So it's part of, it's actually part, so it is, yeah, so it is a Greater City of Geelong asset, and it is considered to be part of that collection of art pieces that he now is employed to maintain with a very, very small budget. Gillian.
And I would argue that the council has never really been keen to maintain it. I spoke to an elderly lady this afternoon. She's not able to come here tonight. She was telling me that the fountain was actually maintained through the kindness of a retired gentleman who looked after it and maintained it. After his death, it gradually fell into disrepair. The other thing she said was that it was also plagued by vandalism, but there was never really, or apparently, a commitment to the support for that because of what happened when the gentleman died.
Yeah. So I understand that was Mr. Toyne, and we understand that from the tennis club because he was given a life membership, the only, recently. So I did only hear that quite recently too. So thank you. Okay, next step, Steve. We hear from more people, or?
Well, I think we need to discuss the 2 options.
Okay.
Repair, or what is the option for redesign? What sort of things are people looking at?
Look, it's all very well to want to redesign it. That's really admirable. But who's going to upkeep it in future?
Who does it actually belong to? That's what I'm trying to get at.
It belongs to the council.
And are they willing to upkeep it, whether you turn it into an art piece or keep it as a fountain? Or, I mean, you've got to get that before you decide what you're going to do with it.
No, it's our council. It's up to us to lobby them to do what we want.
You're from council?
No, I'm not.
No. Or has council actually said they will upkeep it? Whatever we do?
It's their asset. They are bound to keep it.
They are bound to, but look at it.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, it's up to us. There's been no political pressure on them to do anything. If there's no political pressure, nothing happens. The reason you say everything happens in the city centre is lots of political pressure to get things done there. We haven't raised our voices, so they've ignored us. So it's time this group started raising its voice, and then they will go after us.
Would it be an option for perhaps a small band of volunteers, once it's up and running, to help keep it, like when there's vandalism, paint it over?
Friends of the family.
Friends of the family. I mean, is that an option?
Oh, I'm sure that's, they have friends of lots of places who have lots of rights. Peter can talk about Friends of the Rail Trail, and I know that they are a very strong lobby group to actually get lots of stuff. So
I know in Bayshore at the bus shelters, when that used to be vandalised, the chap across the road, council gave him a pot of paint and a brush, and he used to just go across and paint. Quite happy to do it.
Easy fix. So, yeah.
And is there a problem? Will council allow it to be removed?
I think, and Patrick, please help me with this one too, I think David Fitzsimmons, who we met in December, his initial idea at the meeting was to actually put a plastic liner into the base of the fountain at the moment and do some planting in there so that it didn't actually deteriorate the fountain in any way, shape or form, but left it ready for something to happen to it once whoever decided what should happen to it.